Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today, I'm going to be going over Dracopals. Now what's really interesting is we got the Dracopals, Draco Slayers I should say, and people just kind of play Draco Slayers. There was no variations on the engine, like adding substitute pendulum engines into it. No, it was just like Draco Slayers with some random stuff, maybe some floodgates, as every other deck in the entire game does. And I thought it was a really interesting approach, but it was definitely less interesting than I thought it would be. Because I went back to thinking about what made Dracopals good in 2016, and it was because the Draco Slayers themselves could maintain advantage for a really long period of time after your Pendulum Summon, whereas the Performapals were the inverse, where they amassed a lot of card advantage before and during the Pendulum Summon. Like with Monkey Board, Joker, all that stuff. And I found it a little interesting. So I got to thinking, now that the Draco Slayer card quality has improved, has the Performapal card quality improved? And yes, it has. Absolutely. But in a way that's kind of deceptive, because it feels like it's more the same, but there's actually a few unique tools I never thought about. And before we get into it, I will say, since we're going into a very, very, very solved, basically tier 0 format, I'm not inclined to take the game much of serious at all. I'm not going to take it seriously. There's no point. Like, no one wants to watch me make 14 different tier limit quick combos. No one cares. This channel, it's not the most competitive, but it's also not casual. It's for those... It's basically, this channel's for pet deckers. And it's, it made me realize most of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Audience is pet deckers, which I actually appreciate, and it's really fun to watch. But because I'm not inclined to take the game seriously at all, I actually get to get really experimental with these quick combos and really try out stuff no one has ever even considered, which is kind of freeing. And this is probably why you're looking at this card in hand and thinking, God, what the fuck are you doing? So, Doriado is the card that came out a long time ago, and what's really interesting is it's seen experimentation in Pendulum decks before, but on a very tempered level. Like, it was... I remember seeing a list years ago, like, this is one of the worst cards released of that year, and the truth is it's not. Not even close. It's just weird. Because the way you want to use this card, all of its effects seem like it belongs in 2006 or 7, which, I mean, it is Doriado, that kind of does have that feel, but it's deceptively powerful. Because... let's just read its monster effect. When it's normal or special summon, you choose one of each elemental attribute, which is earth, wind, fire, water, just like all of the non-light, dark, and divine monsters. And then you stack them on top of your deck in any order. Now, under normal circumstance, you think, well, that doesn't get me anywhere, but it actually does, and it's because of Performapals as an archetype very specifically. Now let's get into this combo and show you this Dracopal monstrosity. So, for this combo, there's so many ways to set it up. This hand just does it and leaves you with 2 randoms. But basically, by the time you are done setting up, you want to be in a situation where you have access to Doriado, Pendulum Sorcerer, and just a few other odds and ends like a high scale and ready for a Pendulum Summon. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. We special a Curtain Racer, normal Joker. The Monkey Board gets us Pendulum Sorcerer, Beyond the Pendulum summons, and we'll get a high scale so we can Pendulum Summon. And because the Monkey Board's negated, it doesn't matter what the high scale is. So now, Pendulum Summon, and we're going to summon basically everything we have knowledge of. Sure, these 2 cards could be Pendulum monsters, but they don't exist. They're tokens. Now, what we want to do is have Doriado always be Chainlink 1. Because that stack needs to be the last thing that happens. And more importantly, if Perform Pal Pendulum Sorcerer is going to pop something that could trigger. If you want to use this, you can't trigger it, but if you do want to trigger it, then just don't even bother stacking. It'll just waste time. But for this example, we're going to use Dark Doriado. So Chain Link 1 is Doriado, and Chain Link 2 is Pendulum Sorcerer. And Pendulum Sorcerer will pop both scales, and we will add, I want to say they're new Performer Pal monsters, but one of these is actually like several years old, which is Dissolver. This one's old, yeah. And then Performer Pal Lady Anjay, we'll get into that in a moment. Then Doriado is going to stack. So we are going to put a Water, Guitardle, and Earth, Lizard Draw, and then finally, for a Fire, we're going to put in Ignis and a Wind, Majesty, Pegasus. And all of these are going to be stacked, and we're going to stack them very specifically. The bottom two monsters are going to be both Draco Slayers, and the top two are going to be the both Performer Pals. And this is where Lady Anjay comes in. This one's actually pretty new, I think, Dimension Force. And you can discard it and another Performer Pal, except another copy itself, out of your hand to draw 2 cards. So it's basically like a Dark Lord Ixchel. And wouldn't you know it, we drew Pot of Greed off the top of our deck. Now, we're going to activate Guitardle, activate Lizard Draw, which gets this draw, and the Lizard Draw will pop itself to get another draw. So, very simply, these 2 cards are the entire Draco Slayer scale combo that doesn't need the Pendulum Summon. So that's a little interesting. But now you might be wondering, so how will we clear the scale now? Because this is going to be stuck in there. So, the 2 monsters we needed for this setup just so happened to be level 4. So we'll overlay these 2 level 4s into Dagara's the Timeless, the Man Without a Watch. We're going to detach 2 to resolve its revival effect, and we are going to special summon Dissolver. Then we're going to link the Beyond the Pendulum and the Douglas into Cross Sheep. Now this is something you might not realize with Dissolver's effect. It's something that doesn't come up that often in most Pendulum decks that use it. They only use its scale effect, which is to fuse away parts of your board for a Dragon Fusion. But while it's in the Monster Zone, you can Fusion Summon anything using monsters from your hand, field, or Pendulum Zone, including this card. And since it's an Odd Eyes monster, we can fuse this and the Guitardle, which is a Pendulum monster, obviously, for Vortex Dragon. And we're going to put it in attack since we're under Douglas Lock. Now, the Cross Sheep will trigger, and we can revive any of those level 4s. Next. Now, we have the full Draco Slayer combo. So we're going to go ahead and use Majesty Pegasus, which will allow us to get a new Draco Slayer, which we will get Dynamite Knight, and then pop the Ignis. And the Ignis will trigger to summon a new Draco Slayer from the deck and treat it as a tuner. And we will summon another Dynamite Knight. Now, we will synchro these 2 into an Ignister Phoenix. The Ignister Phoenix will allow us to special summon Draco Slayer out of the deck. And we will choose another Majesty Pegasus. And we're going to go ahead and activate a field spell. If you want to extend further, you can get Skyrus. But for this simple combo, we're going to add Necro Valley and toss one of these randoms. We'll save the activation for later. Next, we are going to overlay these 2 level 4s into Magister Paladin, activate its effect for Skarm in the end phase, and then we will special summon Power Load out of our extra deck, and then we will tribute these 2 to go ahead and special summon Dinoster. Because the Power Load was tributed, we get to add back a free Draco Slayer, yay. And then we can go ahead and activate the Dinoster to revive the Majesty. Next, we will overlay these 2 into a rank 8, which, Hope Harbinger, it allows what you're going to establish later to basically be immune to all this nonsense. And then finally, we have access to Dynamite Knight, so we're going to go ahead and use the effect to summon this out. Then we'll overlay these 2 level 4s which will allow us to make another Majesty Paladin. So we'll get 2 searches, and we can attach another to revive the Power Load Ogre again. Then we can link these 3 into Apollosa. So 1, 2, 3. We can activate the Necro Valley, and then during the end phase, we get 2 Pendulum Searches. So we will get Revolution Dragon and Skullcrabat Joker. Honestly, not bad. So, when I was trying out this combo before, I was thinking, is there a way to establish like an Abyss Roller and whatnot? And I just realized, oh, I can just search an Necro Valley. That's the same thing. Honestly, very interesting. You probably won't be able to OTK with this. Or, well, definitely not if the numbers don't work out. But that doesn't matter because the Floodgate is established, so you can actually go an extra turn without worrying about it. But this is actually pretty interesting. You get to establish a lot from a very nonsense combo. And that's what I'm going to be doing for a bit until the game calms down and realizes, oh, we actually need to make ban lists now. Which, I have a rant saved for a rainy day. But Yu-Gi-Oh's problem has nothing to do about needing set rotation. There's a whole other much bigger issue. That is, Konami is not making ban lists. One in every 3 ban lists is a ban list, and everything else is not. So, that is discussion safe for another day. But I hope you enjoyed Doritos, because this combo is very funny. I actually like it a lot. Dark Doriado is one of those deceptively interesting cards that allows some really cool gimmicks and nonsense to go off. And, like I said, it has a lot of really interesting synergy with Performer Pal since they naturally draw a lot as a Pendulum deck. So that's pretty cool. But yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. And remember, Master Genuflex will take your soul.